Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? It's Alex here, as always, from the Festival of Enterprise. Thank you for joining us today. Bit of a grey, bit of a chill in the air from Paul in Dorset. And so Ollie is joining me. Ollie, whereabouts are you at the moment?
I mean, I'm literally down the road in Bournemouth, so it's a very similar temperature. Yeah, pretty grey after a nice day yesterday.
I know, scorched here in the end yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, really nice.
Okay, a couple of questions. Let's have a look. Danny, will yesterday's recording be made available? It wouldn't start work. Yesterday there was a couple of technical issues, Danny, which I do apologise for, and it was both on the speaker's end, both ends. So apologies for that. So which one were you thinking of, Danny? Because yes, there will be available. So we're rescheduling. Let me bring my phone up and tell you exactly when. That is, I think it's tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? So it's going to be tomorrow, and I think it's at 12 o'clock. If that's the one that you were looking for, and I'll tell you exactly. So it was making new digital strategies authentic, and that was with Davina from the Crate Media Group. That's rescheduled for 12 o'clock tomorrow. It's a super popular one. Loads of people on it, as there are today. Actually, this is a really, really popular one. I can see the figures going up and up and up as we are on here. So that's going to be available at 12 p.m. tomorrow. And then, like everything, once it's live, literally as soon as I finish each webinar, the recording is available both on this platform. We're also broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and it will be, sit on those platforms as soon as we finish as well. So if you want to watch on Facebook, for example, you'll be able to do so on the Festival of Enterprise site. So, brilliant, thanks, you're welcome. Jeremy Jacobs, good friend of mine coming in from Brighton. How are you doing, Jeremy? I know you know a few things about Facebook ads from back in the day with agency that you had before you've now got Ray's Bakery. So, busy in capitals and an exclamation mark. Look, thank you, everyone. Danny's from Ireland watching. Glenn is in Bedfordshire, Alex is in West Sussex, Trevor in Plymouth, Claire in Towyland, in Essex from Waltham Abbey, Gwen in Malvern, Rose is in my hometown of Cardiff in Wales, yes, Ariane is in Manchester. Thank you, everybody who's posting up. Let us know where you are. Jeremy's getting back into it. Congratulations on the anniversary, my friend, as well. And any questions that you got, so just housekeeping, really basic, guys. Use the chat function as you are to ask any questions. And what we're going to do, Ollie, we're going to take questions at the end. Is that easier, and let you do your thing throughout the presentation?
Yeah, I don't mind. If I'm talking about something and you see a question coming through that's specific to exactly what I'm talking about, then yeah, just shout and I'll stop and answer the question if that's easier.
Cool. Okay. Let's do that then. So we're talking today Facebook ad strategies to double sales in a month. I've known Ollie a long time, done a lot of events together over the years. He's been doing this for over a decade. He knows what he's talking about. He's got some really successful campaigns with clients that he's been working on. Specialist in e-commerce sales growth. He works with advertising budgets from £1,000 to £1 million. So direct line to Facebook. That's right, isn't it, Ollie?
Well, I've got a rep there, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I say it straight to Zuck himself just to pick it up a bit.
Yeah, how was your coffee meeting with Zuck today? To go well?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so just to give you a brief, those of you've obviously all registered for this, so you would have read the blurb. But during this session, Ollie's going to look at the strategies behind growing sales with the ads you're already running. So maybe post up. Jordan is singing in the rain. Where are you then, Jordan? Where is it raining at the moment already? Paul's in Shepperton. Don't want the rain coming. But yeah, maybe post up. This is a good one for Ollie to know. So are you currently running Facebook ads? If you are they working or they're not working? Really simple. Just post up yes or no. Yes, running Facebook ads and they're working, or no, you're not running Facebook ads. Or no, you're not running Facebook ads. They're not working. Yes and yes for Jeremy, which is good to hear. Yeah, I know. I remember seeing a post of yours doing ridiculously well during lockdown. So, Jordan Tamworth, thank you for joining us. Okay, so everybody, as I say, use the chat function there. Gwen says no, she's not using Facebook ads. Okay, yeah, let us know. Karma, no, not running any Facebook ads. Jordan ran ads. Marketplace seems better. Paul Morris, good morning from a rainy Ramsbottom. Not currently using Facebook at all. Sounds like the rain's coming, Ollie. We might not get away with it down here in Dorset.
Yeah, it's not looking good actually at the moment.
It's not. If you look next week, everybody, it's like 26 degrees down here. What's that all about? It's like that'll be the hottest so far, I think. Paul's getting mixed results at the moment. Okay, cool. So I am going to toggle around with the screens. Can you see Ollie's presentation at the moment? Is that the main screen? I'm flitting between using different devices at the moment, when yesterday we were having a couple of technical issues, so it turns out it was the speakers, unfortunately. So you can see a small screen. Okay, so
do you want me to make it bigger?
Yeah, make yours bigger. Presentation mode. Cool, there we go. So that should be the main screen. Alex Broadley says we've run a few, most not working. Google Ads has brought most of our sales in so far. Interesting. And I'm interested because I'm about to start running some ads. Haven't run ads for a little while as well. My Facebook course, still small. Okay. Let's see if I can, let's unfocus. I think that's as big as we can get it.
Do you need it a bit bigger?
If you can. Let's just double check. Can you see Ollie as the? My face is lovely. Oh, okay. So we just need to.
Is that?
Need to refocus the screen. It's okay. Okay. Let's get into this, guys. So, so would you say, Ollie, with regards to Facebook ads at the moment, Facebook and Instagram, different success in different platforms? I know that Instagram's owned by Facebook. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so probably I'd say that it's different audiences if you're targeting. So typically, you know, this is kind of just a general rule, is that I see Facebook works really, really well if you're targeting, for instance, like women 45 and over, and Instagram doesn't work as well for that audience. Whereas Instagram will work really well from like 25 to 54-year-old men, for instance. You know, and again, it's dependent on the product, but that type of audience breakdown is what I'm seeing generally at the moment.
Okay, interesting. And yeah, very, very different audiences, I know. Okay, so we've got your main presentation up. You've got the slides down the left, so you can either keep those. Lester says, ahoy everyone, we've been predominantly reliant on Google Ads, but want to move more over to Facebook for better targeting and use of budget. Well, that's great. Ollie's going to be covering that once he's finished off the second half of his coffee. First half he had with Zuck. Okay, so we've got the main screen showing your presentation. And you can either stick it in presentation mode if you want, or you can leave it like that. We can see the slides on the left-hand side. Up to you entirely, Ollie, how you want to run it.
Yeah, I keep it like this because I think in the past sometimes it's got stuck on presentation. I couldn't go between slides, so I just
cool. That sounds good. Yeah, that is the big screen now. Okay, so take it away. Over to you, Ollie Whittle.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks for the intro. Thank you very much for everyone turning up. You know, I've kind of gone a little punchy on the headline, so I'm hoping to sort of deliver some decent tips. I've done some webinars before with Alex, and we've been talking about how you can get sales or the best way to respond to COVID-19, and kind of as we're coming out of that, and you know, strategies that you can implement that I've sort of talked about. I really wanted to talk about how you can now scale up. So hopefully, you know, you've got some of the things set up, like your business manager and ad account and your Pixel installed and things like that. And we can really talk about what the strategies that I'm using at the moment to double sales month on month for a couple of clients that I've been running during COVID-19. I will, as a little disclaimer, their products were by chance ideal for the situation. It was like home decor stuff. People were obviously locked away in the house and looking to improve their home. So, that was very much about the product as well. But nonetheless, there were strategies behind that which enabled us to double their sales month on month. So I'm going to dive into it and try and explain to you how I did that and what I used to be able to do that. So just start off, there are a couple of like fundamentals before you even start running the ads, which need to be in place to give you the best chance of seeing those kind of numbers. One is that your Facebook pixel installed on your website, and basically for those of you who are unaware, like it's a bit of code that goes onto your website, so Facebook understands which of the ads that you're running can attribute the sales to. It's also gathering data on your website so that it knows the type of customer, people who have visited your website but not made a purchase, and this really needs to be installed as soon as you're launching ads, and as soon as you can, really, so it can gather data even if you're not running ads. And then this link here under number 1 is a Chrome extension which will show you whether your pixel's installed and whether it's running correctly. So, kind of make sure that that's put in before anything starts. Is your website conversion ready? And basically what I mean by this is, like, sometimes the best ads in the world, if you've got hundreds of people clicking through, but your website is not set up correctly to be able to convert that traffic, then you're really, really going to struggle, and it's going to cost you a lot more money than what it normally would to be able to convert someone. And that can be something as silly as, like, your PayPal button not working correctly, which I've had before, or not setting out your page to be mobile friendly, or not being able to find the add to cart button on a mobile, not having enough pictures or clear enough pictures, those types of things. It's really, particularly at the moment, people seem to be slightly fearful that they're going to be scammed from Facebook ads to online purchases. So any red flags that they see, which they don't think adds up, they won't make a purchase. So it's just removing all those red flags. And then thirdly, is your Facebook creative eye-catching? Have you got a video? Have you got clear pictures? I've seen people with ads running at the moment where their product is cut up by the, if they're running a carousel, like, you can't see all of the product. So making sure that those things are running and sized correctly. And then that your Facebook copy has all your, like, USPs. So, a lot of the time, sometimes clients have, or companies I see have, like, free shipping or 2 to 3 or next working day delivery, which is a huge aspect of anyone deciding whether to make a purchase. Make sure that that's in your ad copy. Things like money back guarantees, if you're making donations to charity, what your product actually does, maybe some testimonials. Have you got, like, 1,000 reviews on Trustpilot? Are you rated by 5 out of 5 by Google? All of that kind of stuff needs to go on your ad copy, so you're encouraging people to trust you and click through. And then also, is your infrastructure ready to scale? So obviously it's, everyone's looking to scale up and double sales month on month, which sounds wonderful, but do you have everything in the background ready to go? We've done it in the past where we've sort of started to scale and they've run out of stock, and that basically brings everything, just sort of breaks everything down. Are you even able to ship as many as, if you're doubling month on month, doubling sales, can you go from 100, 200, 400, 800, can you do that within a short space of time? So that's really important as well, because you're just going to upset customers and kind of start all again. And then the last one, which is a really, really big one, so you can understand when you're actually scaling up, like, what's your break-even point and what's your targeted return on ad spend? So you need to have this in mind before you start spending a lot of money on ads. You know, how do your margins work? You know, how, for instance, a product that I work with, it's £30. It costs £10 for cost of goods, £10 in ad spend, and £10 in profit. So the aim on the return on ad spend for that is 300%. Making sure you're crystal clear on that, because once you start scaling up and spending a lot of money, you want to be turning off anything that's below that and adding budget to any ads that are above it. So really important aspect before you start those ads. And then secondly, again, just before we've actually launched those ads, you know, be crystal clear on your audience, you know, gender, age, their interests. If you're unsure of their age, then just leave it from 18 to 65 plus. Run those ads for a few days and then kind of see which people are converting best. Facebook's kind of a little bit all over the place with its algorithm at the moment, particularly with what's just happened the last 2 or 3 months. It isn't quite sure how people are acting, behaving. You know, they were having the traffic of Black Friday during lockdown, but the buying patterns of like first week of January. So it's a bit unsure what it's doing right now. So leave that open and then run the ads and then see which ages are purchasing and then filter it down and then launch any further ads within that age group.
And Olly, but before you dive in, I thought it might be useful for those. There's quite a few people who said that they haven't run ads before, but clearly seeing certain products and services flying off the shelves and thinking, you know, how do I attract that kind of traffic? When you had your previous slide, when you're thinking know your margin, that last question you have, and any tips on how somebody new to this could kind of work that out or get a general idea as to what they're prepared to spend? Because obviously you are someone, and a lot of people are just going to, well, I don't know, let me try and chuck, I don't know, a couple of £100 at it, or, you know, what they're willing to kind of, what's the trade-off? What would any tips, advice be around that for people?
So you can kind of have a look at what other you know, companies are charging and get an idea in terms of your actual sale price. You know, cost of goods is obviously going to be determined by the supplier and the arrangement that you can come to with them. And then ad spend, you know, I'm kind of seeing typically you're going to have to be looking at about 300%. So it's costing you £10 to get a sale for £30 at the moment. And those are the ones.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of working on that basis. You know, you can do, I was doing 900%, but those are harder at the moment, basically, because people are being a bit more cautious on how they're spending. So yeah, just sort of break it down in that way.
Brilliant. That's really helpful, I think, for people. Nice one. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, talking about the interest, you're basically going to create this this audience that you believe you're going to be able to target the ads to and that are going to be best performing. And you can do that by literally typing in the keywords surrounding your product into Google and just seeing what it comes up with in terms of some of your competitors, which you can target. And also some of the keywords in like the actual Google ads themselves. Facebook will make some suggestions. So if you put something in like iPhone, you know, it will suggest things like, you know, Android, Galaxy, Samsung, those types of things. And I'm actually seeing those becoming more and more accurate at the moment. I would never have used Facebook suggestions before, but they're getting better in terms of their recommendations. And then there's also a website here called Connectio, and you can type in 2 or 3 different interests. There's the link there as well for you, which is that link is a free service as well. Type in some interests, and it'll make some suggestions in terms of what it thinks will be good targeting for you to serve those ads to. But generally, where I'm seeing ads really perform in terms of interest is that you might have something like a shoe company, and you're not necessarily targeting interests of like shoes themselves, you're actually targeting things like what the shops that they shop in, like some of the clothing brands, you know, some of the supermarkets they go to, some of their travel behaviors in terms of, you know, Facebook still has that data, so that whilst people aren't necessarily traveling right now, they still know who the frequent travelers are, if they take regular flights, if they commute, you know, things like that, and that may relate to your product. And just some sports terms as well, in terms of the actual sports or the clubs, you know, so it's really getting into the mindset and sort of being a bit creative with some of the interests, which don't have to always be very closely related to your product. They could be things that people are interested in, which are similar to or fit the avatar of that person. So yeah, going on to the actual ad setup itself, you know, we've thought about the targeting, who that's going to go to. We're then going to launch a campaign, and this is the way that I do it personally at the moment, and you know, seems to be working. So I share it with you. Everyone's got different sort of strategies, but this has worked. So you know, hopefully it'll work for you guys. Is that I set up a campaign, and then within that campaign, I create 10 ad sets. So the ad set itself is exactly the same as the other 9, but it has one difference, and that's the interest. So when we were talking about, you know, the different supermarkets, the different clothes shops, the travel behaviors, that stuff like that, that's the only difference within the ad. Same copy, same headline, same links, same creative. And personally, at the moment, I'm doing £5 per day on each ad set. So that's basically £50 per day. But you can go as low as £2. But the only thing that I would say about this is that, you know, if we're talking about, for instance, it being £10 in ad budget to get a sale for £30, you know, if you're working that out at 300% return on ad spend, then the £5 for each ad set is going to take you 2 days, whereas the £2 is going to take you 5 days. So it's just speeding up the process, and yeah, being realistic on your results. You know, you're not going to get a lot of results at £2. The reason that I do single interests for each of the ad sets is so that I can understand what's performing, and understand more about the audience and the ads, and then I start expanding on that interest, which is working really well. If I clump in 3, 5, 10, 20 different interests into one ad, I don't know which one's working, and I don't know any more about my target audience, because it could be any one of the 20 and I don't know where to expand on. So that would be one big tip from me. And then in terms of the actual ad launch itself, I'd set the ads. So if I'm creating the ad now, for instance, I wouldn't allow them to go live right now, because I've already lost some of the day. So I would schedule them to go live tomorrow, like 4 a.m. So I get a full day of ad spend and the best sort of you know, data on the money that I'm spending. And then I would also name the ad by the interest, so I know which interest is converting, and also I give it a date. So, you know, I'd give tomorrow date, for instance, if I was launching, so that I know when that's launched and how many days to leave it, by not touching it at all, and then wanting to either shut it down or add some more budget. And before you launch it, send yourself a test of the ad. You know, I do it still all the time, small typos, or I've sent it to the wrong product page on the website. You know, just give that a quick check. You can send it to your phone, which is the best way to do it, because that's where most of the ads can be seen. And then just click on all of the links. If you're running like a carousel ad, for instance, where you've got the different boxes that people can swipe across and then click through to each product, you know, test each of those links. And then once that's launched, do not touch it for 3 days. Literally just leave it, even if you think it's having a shocker. If you think, you know, if you've got it, you've set it at £5 per ad set per day and you're comfortable with that, just leave it. Even if you think it's overspending or it's not getting the results, leave it for 3 days. You need to give Facebook the chance to be able to optimize, and even 3 days is quite a short time, but That's what I tend to run with, just because being comfortable with the budget that you're spending. And then this is where we get into the scaling bit. So we've got your ads set up so that they have the best chance of scaling. And we've set it up in the way that I have at the moment, which is getting the results. And so we're going to look at these ads 3 days later. We haven't touched them, probably worried about the spend, but nonetheless, we've let them run. And then we're going to make some changes either at midnight or early in the morning, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the morning, for instance, just to make sure that, again, that if we scale it or add more budget, that we're getting a full day's spend. So turn off ads that are without any sales that are spent 2 times your cost per acquisition. So again, let's go back to the example of the £30 product. We said that we were going to spend £10 to get purchased. If that's hit £20 and you've got no purchases, turn it off. And don't think of that as wasted budget, because you've basically given your pixel some data. And also you can run retargeting ads later on to serve an ad to someone who's visited your website but not made a purchase. So don't think of it as wasted money at all. And then for those ads that are performing at the moment, because of the way the algorithm's performing, if I see within those 3 days there's been 5 or more sales on a particular ad set, and it's within my return on ad spend, then I'll double the budget up to £10, and then I'll change the data on that so that so I know when I've done it and know not to touch it for another 3 days. If across all of your ad sets, so you've got 10 ad sets running and it's been running for 3 days and you've got no sales, something is happening in terms of, more than likely, there's your targeting has completely, or something's more, what I see more commonly is something's happening on your website, because typically Facebook, when you launch an ad, will try and really hard to get you a sale, even if it's one, so that it gives you a bit of a carrot that you spend more money. So often or not, they'll go and find really strong audience on the first couple of days just to give you some encouragement. If they're not able to do that, the targeting's wrong, or something's happening on the website, like, as I mentioned, like the PayPal button, or they can't find add to cart, or they can't find their basket or something like that. So you need to start looking at your add to carts. If you've got 20 add to carts and 0 purchases, that means there's a big drop off there. Is your cost per click really high, which means that they're just not resonating with your ad at all? And I would say anything like over £1 generally, something's going wrong. Your click-through rates from your ads, so you getting, I tend to work to about 1%, but I still have good performing ads under 1%. If you're getting like 0.5%, then people are not clicking through from your ad. They don't like the ad, or it's just not captured their attention. And then if you've got high bounce rates of people going onto your website and then coming off within a couple of seconds, means the ad and the website don't match. So have a look at those things, because something fundamentally is going wrong if you've got no sales at all. And if you're, again, a little bit unsure about the budget, you can set up a rule. So I have it set up for again, if I'm aiming for the £10 budget to get a purchase, that anything that spends £20 with no sales just turns the ad off straight away. And so I can be confident that I'm not overspending at any time. So that's the first 3 days. So hopefully you've got some sales, you're starting to add some budget, you're starting to shut off those that are not performing the way you want to. And then we're going to jump another 3 days later. Again, we're looking to make the changes like midnight or early in the morning. And again, turning off ads without any sales, which is spent 2 times your cost per acquisition, or in this occasion as well, has had one ad, one sale, so you were within it, but now has not had any sales following. So you've now got 6 days with one sale, spending £5 a day. Again, that's going to be over budget. And again, I would double budget. This is if we're starting at £5 per day. per day, double budget with 10 plus sales and within your return on ad spend. So some of them are now spending £20 per day. And I would always be looking at your return on ad spend. So don't just look at your cost per purchase and base it off that, because quite often people might be, it might be costing you higher than you want in cost per purchase to get a sale, but then they might be going through and buying 3, 4, 5, 10 of those items, and therefore your return on ad spend is going to be really high. So this is your king metric, and this is what you want to base everything off. And that's what I talked about at the beginning, that you really need to have this set out, because you might say, for instance, that if we use the example of the 10, 10, 10, £10 cost of good, £10 ad spend, and £10 profit, that you're always focusing on that £10. But what we actually want to look at is like the 300%. So, someone might have spent, it might cost you £15, £20, but then they might have spent £60, for instance. So you've got that 300% return on ad spend, even though your cost per purchase is higher. So really important and to have that in mind all the time, so you know whether you're profitable or not. And then every 3 days from there, you turn off your ads below your break-even point. So ones that you're losing money on, obviously you don't want to keep running. And then rather than doing doubling, because that just gets too much for the algorithm, it's okay to do it on lower budgets at like £5, £10, £20. But beyond that, you want to start adding 20% of your daily ad budget, increase that by 20%. Or what I'm doing at the moment is just adding £10 every 3 days to the ad sets that are working. And it's really important that you don't just think, well, if I'm getting a great return on these ads at £10, then I'm just going to whack it up to £100 and it's going to perform for me. That's just not the case. You're basically asking far too much of the algorithm to be able to understand how your ads are performing, and then change the asset date. So every time that you do something to the ad set, change the date so that you know when you've done it, and you're not sort of doubling budget or adding spend every 2 days or 1 day by mistake, because then that'll just throw it all out again. And then once those original 10 are performing well, then we're going to start looking at which ones are doing really well, and we can launch new ads associated with the best performing ads and their interests. So start building out that avatar again. Okay, I can see that, for instance, people interested in Tesco's are doing, my ads are really performing. So think of some other like associated supermarkets, Sainsbury's, maybe Asda, Morrison's, those types of things. And test those. Use Facebook suggestions. So as I say, this is getting much better than what it was. And you can basically, if you've got Tesco's, for instance, in one of your interests, then just click suggestions, and the first 3 or 4 are normally the strongest in terms of the interests that it suggests. And yeah, that's a good way of finding new interests at the moment. And Facebook are trying to make it as easy as possible for you. And then in terms of once you've started to build those out, after like 30 days, keep doing the 3-day monitoring rule. So watch it every 3 days, either add more spend or turn them off. Keep launching new interests. So keep testing, like, I do like 4 or 5 every few days, just to see if those interests are performing. And once again, if they're not, they get turned off. If they are, I start scaling them up. And then at this point, we're probably assuming that this ad account hasn't had a lot of traffic through it, but you can start looking at lookalike audiences, which are the really powerful ads. And Facebook will then understand, because of that pixel that you put in, who's making the purchase and where they can find other customers that fit those purchases. And then also your database. By this point, hopefully you've got over 100 people on your database who have made a purchase from you. And then you can upload that into Facebook and ask them to go and find customers that look like your original database.
Danny says, Ollie, sorry to butt in. Danny says, would you after 3 days change the imagery as well, or is that too significant a change early on? Good question.
That's too significant early on. So if you change the imagery, basically you're effectively resetting the ad. So any engagement that you had on that advert is going to be lost. You can make changes to the text, and I think you retain the engagement that's happened. Likes, comments, questions, which are all really powerful because it shows that customers are interacting with your ads and it installs more confidence. So no, I wouldn't in those first few days, but after 30 days, or I would start looking at testing new creatives, and I would test them within new ads, not existing ones that you're running already. So, try a different set of images, or try, different headlines, shorter text, and you can even send those new creatives or copy to your best interests. So you don't have to go and find new interests to test your new copy on. In fact, if the audience is big enough, you can send the same products with a different created and different copy to those best performing ads and their interests. And you'll pick up other sales where people haven't resonated with your previous copy. So you're just making life a bit easier for yourself rather than having to go and find new interests all the time. And then lastly, ideally after the 30 days, your stats should be looking as though that they're within your return on ad spend for the month. I think you've got to be realistic and say that the first couple of weeks you're probably going to be overspending. Not with each individual ad set, but probably across the board, because you're going to have tested some ad sets which didn't perform and you're turning those off. But you can see the specific ad sets that have performed, and you've started to scale on that, and then that's tipped the balance. So at the end of the month, you should be within your return on ad spend. Sales have at least doubled with this strategy, because effectively you are firing out 10 ad sets to different audiences, which have all made purchases through those ads. But obviously the main thing is, it's all very well saying that sales have doubled, but it's making sure that you're profitable. And obviously that's the crux of it. So even if you have to scale back down, it's really important that you are watching those ads, depending on how much you're spending, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes every 3 days, if you're just starting out with this strategy. And then at the end of the 30 days, you've got enough purchases for lookalike audiences, which is where you can really start building your ads out. And you'll, again, it depends on Facebook's algorithm, but you'll flick between your lookalike audiences being your most powerful ads and interests, and that just depends on how Facebook's performing. So, yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Hopefully it doesn't sound too complicated. The actual practice of it itself is relatively actually straightforward, even though the Facebook Ads Manager can be a bit of a pain to navigate sometimes, particularly when they seem to just make changes out of the blue. And I can't find a button which used to was in the top left for the last 5 years and now suddenly is nowhere to be seen. But the actual scaling it every 3 days and shutting things down is hopefully relatively straightforward. So hopefully that's clear, and this is exactly what I've used pretty much without hiding anything, or there's nothing that I'm doing which I'm not actually telling you about. And companies have been doubling their sales month on month. Product wise, have to say was a good one for lockdown, but they've literally gone from sort of 5 figures a month to six figures a month now, in the space of 3 months. So hopefully it works for you. Fingers crossed.
And what sort of industries are we talking, Ollie? It's interesting. I was chatting to a couple of the boys this morning when I was swimming in the sea at 7 a.m. Just thought I'd get that in there for everybody. 7 a.m. swim club down at Sandbanks, and one of the guys was saying about one of the bike shops down here had phoned up and said, you know, that £60,000 order I put in, can you cancel that? He's like, oh no. So, but can I put a new order in for £260,000, please?
Yeah.
And you just think things like that, people, and we were talking like paddleboard shops down here, and like all sold out, or just like hammering China for more paddle boards, you know, gardening, people who spending so much time in the garden, a lot of this outdoor stuff, isn't it? Or home fitness we talked about before. What have you kind of seen, mate?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, and the beauty of it as well, like if you're a bit unsure, go onto Google Trends and literally just type in a load of different sort of things that you think might do well, and you'll literally on some of them see the graph over the last 12 months just go straight, you know, through the roof. There are some things which have gone crazy. Some of the stuff that I've seen is definitely home fitness, like it's literally disappeared. Things like home decor, so people making home improvements, you know, whether that be even art on their wall, gardening, hobbies like crochet, knitting, bike stuff, and even bike related things like bike helmets, bike pumps.
Flour, yeah, Jeremy says flour, absolutely.
Flour, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there is quite a few things. You know, sort of even cooking equipment. So like, been running some ads where it's basically these sort of nice garlic graters and licorice graters and salt rocks and stuff like that. Because you've got to think also, aside from the actual need for things like gardening equipment and home decor and bikes and things like that to actually keep themselves entertained, there's also been a huge demand for things like gifting, because obviously people haven't been able to go out and buy presents. So, you know, people still had their birthdays in lockdown, obviously.
Me.
The gift, yeah. The gifting's been one. Oh, a funny one actually. Facebook told me this themselves. Was outdoor trampoline was one of their biggest sellers during lockdown.
Yeah, I bet you all of that. Like people were saying to me, they couldn't get hold of like you know, the big table tennis tables, all that kind of stuff. Just gone.
Gaming switches sold out. Gaming controllers. You know, there was. Yeah, I mean, and things just went. I was even watching a documentary on TV the other day, and like it was literally overnight, things went mental suddenly. And you can see it in the graph. And also, the funny thing is, like, all the trends have been completely like reversed. So I know we've spoken about it before. Like for the last 3 months, the best sellers haven't been like flip flops for shoes; they've been slippers.
Yeah.
So everything that the way we normally behave, and this is obviously why it's affected the algorithm as well, because it's just got no idea what's happening and how people are reacting. It's kind of having to relearn everything.
Very interesting. Yeah, so you've cornered the market on knitting equipment then, clearly.
I did do some crochet sets, yeah, because I run a shoe site, and basically people stopped buying shoes overnight. So we the other products that suited the customers were like crochet kits and baking equipment. Baking equipment did really well for about a week, and then all the flour ran out, which just got mentioned. So
yeah,
they then suddenly tanked, but the crochet kits did really well. But then now people can go outside. The crochet kits are declining because they're typically a winter product. So yeah, it's kind of
Jeremy's posted up link for Google Trends, which is really helpful. He's still selling flour, Jack, because Jeremy was literally ridiculous amounts of flour being sold from his bakery, and then he sold 15 tons of flour. And are you doing bulk? You mentioned equipment. I don't think you're doing equipment, are you? But you're doing other bulk. I guess it's raisedbakery.com. 15 tons of flour. Wow, that's a lot of flour. I need someone to make some banana bread for me. Keep telling my girls to do it, and I'm still not getting any. So,
I mean, things went crazy. You know, I have a warehouse locally where I store some products, and you know, some of their gym equipment. Literally, the whole stock went within 3 days of lockdown being announced, and that, you know, they do the paddle boards as well. You know, but it's been really difficult because other people, obviously, who are selling products which don't relate or are not helpful in lockdown have, really struggled. So, who could have predicted what was going to happen, really?
Brilliant. Jeremy's doing banana bread next week. So we've got 60 products now selling since lockdown. Amazing. Ashley sells balloons, definitely an increase, but what happens when the balloon shops open up again? I suppose a lot of these things as well, it depends what somebody's new buying habits are, and
that's it.
Chatting to somebody, who was it yesterday? I think it was the FreshBooks founder, Mike, over in Canada, and he was saying, some of the research they've seen is that there's something crazy, that they believe future trends are like, whatever it was, 60% of people will carry on, doing the buying habits that they've learned over the last 90 days. And no one knows whether that will happen, of course, but you do think, that however many days it takes to make a habit. And if you are now ingrained, like 90, 100 days later, this is the way you now buy, this is the way you now shop.
Yeah. I think there's been a massive, massive shift in terms of, again, it's all very audience dependent, but, people who are less confident about buying online or are less trustworthy have been forced online, and they've had to then make purchases and had to get used to it. And I think a lot of people are going to find that, who were previously skeptical, and I'm talking about probably an older generation here, now realize that it is very convenient and how they can do it, and ultimately that they can continue to do it in the future. Secondly, people are still nervous at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of people who don't want to enter into shops at all. So, whether it be clothing sites, for instance, are still, I think, going to do very well because, it's going to be targeting that market that just wants to continue to buy online. And then, I think there's, it's just going to be a big shift. And some people also, which, for instance, who have been making orders with their local butchers or their local vegetable shop, want to continue supporting those businesses and realize the quality of the products. And some of them, are just gonna, I've spoken to a lot of people who said, we've been ordering from the butchers, for instance, we probably don't need to now, but we'll continue to do so. So there's a massive shift.
Yeah. Danny says, seeing a rise in the CBD area. I've started using that since I started my running, actually. I literally ramped up from doing like 5K to doing a marathon during lockdown. So I was using CBD oil and also like the CBD muscle balm, which I thought was unbelievable, far better than like Tiger Balm and stuff like that I used before. Here's an interesting one. Friend of mine is at director level for a shop that begins with the letter P and ends in Rymark, and they, all the shops shut, obviously, as we know, in the high street, and their entire business is based in bricks and mortar. They don't have offline and online offering. And I said, surely, your guys have spent the last 90 days beavering away about to launch, an online offering to compete with the likes of, Boohoo, who've, like taken over the market and the online market. And he said, no, it doesn't make financial sense. The margins aren't there, because they're selling
I've read
a T-shirt for £1 or whatever it is. And I just thought, surely you got to come up with something. Because, we'll talk about a second wave, talk about that it's going to be an annual event with pandemics. I mean, who knows? But I found that really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I read an article on it myself because I was kind of asking the same questions. And, there may not be the margins and it may be very difficult, but it does sound slightly concerning that it could be the next sort of HMV or Blockbuster or anything like that took too long to move online.
Good point.
And there's all the data suggests that everything is obviously going online. People are more comfortable buying online, and whilst there's obviously a very dedicated audience, because when they opened their shops, they had queues of people outside. But it would worry me because the precedent before is that anyone who's not moving online gets, a punch in the face later on.
Yeah, I think that's a really good reference. HMV, absolutely, literally getting left behind. And Virgin Megastores is another one,
Yeah,
isn't it? Same business model.
yeah,
Yeah, Jeremy makes a good point. Make sure you get the customer information and don't give them a reason to go back to the shops. Yeah, absolutely. Don't give them a reason to do so. Ashley says she's only been selling from social media. Again, she doesn't have a website. That's a shift that started happening a few years ago, didn't it? You see the likes of ClickFunnels
yeah,
saying you don't need a website, you just need a funnel.
yeah.
And now it's like you say, selling just from social media. And isn't like Instagram now got like a similar version, like shop fronts, let's say
Yeah,
for Facebook? Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I would always try and put someone through to your website so you can gather, data from them, and then particularly with the ads, you can run all the lookalikes on purchases and databases and stuff like that. So you're just making it stronger for your ads later on.
Good point. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of like people who are currently running their ads, like I'm happy to just literally let me post the link, do a free audit, and make any.
Awesome.
If they want that, I'll put the link there.
Yeah. Post up.
Obviously, nothing like cost or you don't have to commit to anything. Literally, just as a quick browse over your ads, or can create a video, whatever's helpful for you.
Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, go to swarmsocial.co.uk. There's a link there. And all of those of you who are watching this on the replay, and people have posted up in here again, can they watch the replay? Yes, literally in a couple of minutes, as soon as I press stop, this will be live here. It will also then end on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and you'll be able to watch the replays on there. A few people have asked for slides, Ollie, because it was obviously a lot to people were following the whole time, taking notes. So you've got Ollie's swarmsocial.co.uk, and I guess there's a contact form on there, Ollie. People can easily drop you an email.
Yeah, I'll put it in the comment now if people want the slides.
Great.
Just email and I'll email it over to them.
Great. Thanks, says Jeremy. Great presentation. Trevor says we provide legal services and launched online wills and power of attorney service. So did you do that, Trevor, during lockdown? You didn't have that before. Danny says great. Jordan says thanks as well. Jordan says electric car schemes for employees like cycle scheme, seeing a big increase in demand as clean air becomes even more desirable. Absolutely. Do you know what? I actually preferred it about a month ago when there were no cars on the road, and I was going for my run, and I was just running down the middle of the street to the park, and you didn't see a car, and you could, hear the birds sing, and all of those good things that made you feel, some of the positive takeaways from this time. And now it's like nothing ever happens. Someone said they were in, I think someone put they were in Cardiff. As far as I'm aware, my mum tells me that Cardiff and Wales and Scotland, it's still like it was before. You're not allowed to go 5 kilometres away from where you live. It's still a different ball game. So here we go. Karma says, thank you. Ollie. Gwen says, many thanks. Me too. Rising Star says, thank you. Sheridan says, do your clients manage their own stock, warehousing, or drop shipping?
All of my clients do have managed their own stock. I've done drop shipping personally in the past. It works pretty well as long as you can get the. I think drop shipping is a pretty good model, to be honest, because you don't have to build any stock. The only issue is, and that's probably the fatal flaw of drop shipping, is typically shipping times. But I got shipping times down to like 10 days straight from China to the customer. So, which I think is, if you explain that to the customer, it's fine. But yeah, my clients all hold their stock.
Cool. Sebi says, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, so Ollie's posted a link there, guys. If you'd like a free look over your current ads, then go to swarmsocial.co.uk. There's a link there. If you'd like to contact Ollie about getting him to potentially set up some ads for you, then or you'd like a copy of the slides for today, like any comms with Olly, just go to olly@swarmsocial.co.uk and he'll get back to you as soon as he can.
Feel free to honestly email about anything. I've had a couple of emails about just sort of setting up the business manager. I'm really happy to help on any of that kind of stuff. So it can be a fiddle as well. So I understand that.
Yeah. Great. Glenn says, thank you, very informative. Sherry says, this is great. Thank you, Olly. Okay, just to let you know, everybody, just about everyone is still on, I can see at the moment. Just to let you know, so from tomorrow at 10 a.m., we are using cloud communications to thrive in the new normal, and that's with Sunny Dami from Ring Central. So please register via the main site, festivalofenterprise.co.uk for that one. And then a lot of you were asking about the afternoon one, which we couldn't get live yesterday for a technical issue on Davina. So we're talking making new digital strategies authentic. So I think that probably ties in pretty damn well with what we've been talking about today as well with regards to digital strategies. And that's at 12 p.m. tomorrow. And that's with Davina Dunley from the Crate Media Group. So again, just register for either of those if you'd like to join me and those presenters tomorrow. No doubt we will have Olly on again because every single one of his presentations has been one of the most popular of the week. And I can see the numbers again today are the same. I think this is probably the most popular one we've had all week, actually, Olly. So
great. Well, yeah, I mean, just thanks to everyone as well for turning up. I know everyone's super busy at the moment, and yeah, sort of good luck with the ads. What I've laid out does work. It's what I'm using at the moment. And it's hopefully it doesn't sound too complicated. It should be relatively straightforward, but yeah, just thanks to everyone for hopping on.
Cool. Yeah, and if you want to leverage Olly's time, then simply get him to do them for you, so you can focus on what you're good at in your own business. So listen, everybody, sounds like the rain's on the way, which I'm not happy about, but it looks like the other side we're going to get some more sun. So everybody, hope business is picking up for you all. Keep joining us here at Festival Enterprise. We are doing webinars every single day, Monday to Friday here as well, and hoping that we get to meet other humans soon when we can have our live events again at the NEC in Birmingham and at Olympia in London. So fingers crossed. Getting more positive, I think. Premier League kicked off last night, didn't they?
I thought Arsenal, so I wish it hadn't.
You got that David Luiz. I mean, Jesus. James.
Oh my God.
But look, New Zealand took it a step further. They even had crowds last weekend. They were sold out. Rugby,
yeah, I saw that.
Crowds, real people. So there is hope. There is hope. Right. Thanks again, Olly.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Alex.
And thank you all very much indeed.
Cheers.
Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.